You might disagree, but I think the Kia xCeed here in its new facelifted form is like Tom Cruise in Cuban heels. It takes something we already love, the Kia Ceed in this case, and jacks it up a bit, makes it look a bit more rugged. And I'm going to take you for a full walk around and driving review of the new updated for 2022/2023 Kia xCeed to find out if this is Tom Cruise's Maverick or whether this is Tom Cruise jumping up and down on Oprah's sofa being a bit of a deranged Scientologist. Is it good or bad? Let's find out. Now I have actually slightly undersold the xCeed in my intro there because this might be based on the Ceed, but only the front doors are shared with the Golf rival. Yeah, and you might think this is a bit of a niche car, but the Ceed, or the xCeed should I say, takes up 51% of all Ceed sales. So this jacked up version is the most popular version of the Ceed, and it takes up 10% of all of Kia's UK sales, which is very exciting. The updated version costs from £23,000 here in the UK, and this is the new GT Line S version, which is the new top spec version, which costs 30 grand. What is new? The facelift. Well, you'd be forgiven for not really noticing. I have put a video up on the channel a couple of months ago where I did a quick walk around of this in Germany, but there's some new bumper elements, there's some slightly redesigned headlights, there's some new diffusory bits at the back, and there's some new plastic on the inside, but it's really subtle tweaks. Now, as I said, you never used to be able to get the GT Line S on the xCeed, and that means you now get this kind of slightly BMW 340D hexagonal-ish grille, and you get some of these chromy looking plastic elements which are quite nice. Being a GT Line S, this sits on 18-inch alloys which kind of look like cool metal spider webs. I'm quite a big fan of those. They're quite pretty, they're quite nice, and obviously you've got the black cladding to show it's an xCeed. Now these are only front wheel drive, there is no four-wheel drive option. I think we're used to this kind of soft roader recipe now, aren't we? And you've got this black plastic strip along there, just again lend it some more ruggedness. Now if you park this next to a regular common or garden Ceed, you would notice that it's slightly longer at the back. That gives you more boot space, which we'll get onto in just a tick. But yeah, GT Line version, now it is here. It brings over these cool honeycomb hexagonal tail lights, which are LED, and they look really cool when they're lit up, which they're not at the moment. Obviously you get Kia's latest badge, which is brushed metal and looks quite nice. And you also, on this top spec one, get a very beepy electrically opening boot. Ta-da! Oh, it's got my stuff in it, hang on. Let me move that. Continuity error. Oh look, everything's magically moved a bit. That's a 426 litre boot, which is a fair bit bigger than on the regular Ceed. It's got a 12-volt socket up here, so you can plug in whatever you want to plug in, such as your cool boxes. And there's actually a fair bit of under boot storage. That goes all the way back where you would traditionally have a spare wheel, but we live in this weird demonic age where you're not allowed spare wheels anymore. I mean, you might be able to get one. I don't actually know, but it's got a decent sized boot for family things. Now let's check out the back seats, he says, forgetting it's an electric boot, hope didn't break it. And the back seats, there we go. That's what they look like. I haven't got child seats with me today to put in there because I'm a negligent father and journalist, but you will notice that you've got heated rear seats, which is always very exciting on a car that is barely 30 grand. But I'm going to jump in and show you what an adult looks like. Right, I'm in the back of the xCeed now, some very harsh lighting which highlights just how tired and haggard I am, but anyway, I'm only 21, believe it or not. It doesn't feel claustrophobic in here when you shut the back doors, which is great if you've got kids who do get travel sick. They can focus on something outside. I mean, that's possibly a little bit higher than in a Golf here, but otherwise it's not too bad. Now I've actually got quite a lot of room. It might look like I'm struggling for knee room, but because this is a top spec one, the seat automatically comes all the way back to help you get out of the car when you switch the ignition off. So when I jumped in and started the car up, this would actually go forward probably 3 or 4 inches, which is quite a lot, believe you me. And I've got plenty of room under the seats for my feet. Got a little cargo net there. I've got a single lonely USB-C down there, but it's better than nothing. And I've got little door bins, which you're not going to be able to see. Maybe you can see that one. And it's got a little cutout in it for a small bottle, like a bottle of Coke or something. The ISOFIX points are behind these little flaps here, which pull off. I'm not going to bother doing that, but they're easy to get to. It is a bit black in here, in this top spec one. It's a bit dark and dingy, but it has got a sunroof included, which you can obviously open to let a bit more light in. But I'm going to show you up front because there's some nice tech up there that you might not be expecting on a 30 grand car. Now that's the view up front in the updated Kia xCeed, and I will argue, and this is a hill I will die on, that that looks nicer than the latest Volkswagen Golf. It's just a bit friendlier, a bit easier to operate. You've got physical buttons for your climate control, and you don't have to wait for the infotainment system to boot up to be able to, you know, warm your bum or do anything else, as you would in the new Volkswagen Golf. Other things you get a nice clear digital dashboard. It shows you everything you want to know, really. It shows you your maps, it shows you all your driving data. You've got a nice sporty flat bottom steering wheel on this GT line one, and you've got physical buttons there for turning off your lane keep assist, doing your cruise control. None of that haptic button nonsense that you get from the Volkswagen Group. Down there you've got a 12-volt socket, you've got USB-A and a USB-C, so it is bi-curious in the USB department, and a wireless charger, and you've got buttons here for your reversing camera, which is quite nice and sharp as well. It is just quite a lovely cabin, and all those plastics are quite soft to the touch if you are one of those people that prods their dashboard while driving along. And as usual, I don't want to be friends with you if you are one of those people. Yes, also got heated seats and a heated steering wheel, buttons down there for those. I don't know what more you'd really want other than wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's got those, but you have to plug in using one of the aforementioned USB sockets. But yeah, that's the interior of the updated-ish xCeed. The only new thing here really for the facelift, I think, was some slightly different plastics. Someone will probably correct me, but other than that, it's business as usual. Right, that's probably more than enough waffle about the inside of the facelifted Kia xCeed. Let's take it for a drive to see if it's exceedingly good fun. It's not, but it's good. It doesn't have to be fun to be good. Right, let's go for a drive in the Kia xCeed. This is a petrol one. It's a turbocharged petrol one. It's 1.5 litre engine, and it only comes with a manual gearbox. So you only get two choices of engines in the UK. You get the 1.5 litre petrol or the 1.6 litre plug-in hybrid, which is an automatic, which I will drive in about 3 minutes 30 seconds, plus or minus. I haven't really decided how much I'm going to talk yet. Hopefully not too much. But yeah, first impressions when you drive this car are that it hasn't really changed from the pre-facelift in how it drives. That 1.5 litre turbo engine is still nice and punchy. It's got enough poke to make it feel absolutely fine, even getting up to 70 miles an hour on the motorway, or faster if you're mad. But otherwise, it's quite a nice relaxing car to drive. Now, the Ceed on which this is based is a very competent Golf rival. It's not quite as sharp to drive as the Golf, but it's a lot cheaper and does other stuff much better, such as you can actually buy one in this century. This builds on that with a bit of extra comfort. It's got hydraulic bump stops, which is a very French thing to do to your car, but they're on the front axle, on the suspension mounts. They basically means when you go over a sharp jolt or a pothole or a really sharp-edged grandmother that you want to flatten, you don't really get a jolt in the cabin. It just adds to this car's sense of comfort. The suspension is softer than in a regular Ceed as well, something like 7% over here and 4% over there, and 3% in my midriff, but that's because I just had 2 bacon sandwiches. So to drive, it's a very relaxing experience. It's just easy, and there comes a point in life, I think, when you've got a family, when you've got kids screaming at you, you just want a mode of transport that doesn't stress you out, that doesn't annoy you, and this is pretty much the epitome of that. It's not gonna wind you up, but when you put your foot down, does it go? It's what sort of goes well enough. The lane keep assist is a bit militant, but you can turn it off by holding a button on the steering wheel, as with all Kias. So again, loads of safety tech, but you can stop it getting on your nerves if it does start to get on your nerves. Let's get up to 60 miles an hour, and I'll show you how quiet the cabin is. There we go. I can have a conversation without having to shout down the logos of my passenger. Really quite good. It's a car. That might sound boring, but sometimes what you want is a car that is comfortable to drive, has a big warranty, decent petrol engine, manual gearbox, clutch is light, gearbox is very easy to use. I'm not being flustered. And that really does sound boring. It's not very Tom Cruise at all, I suppose. But hey, we all need a bit of clickbait in our lives, don't we? Now, let's talk about the handling. I'm not on an especially twisty road right now, but I have been. There's a corner up here. I'm going to go around it at slightly over 60 miles an hour. Don't call the Rozzers on me. And it grips, it turns in, it doesn't even lean that much. Sometimes when cars are on jacked up suspension, they get a bit roly-poly. Not a bit of it here. It is it's fine. And if I sound like I'm underwhelmed with how this drives, it's because it's just nice. And I hate the word nice because it means nothing, but it is above average. So yeah, good thing to drive. If you bought one of these as your little family car, you would be dead chuffed. Very quick word on MPG. This 1.5 litre petrol has got me 43 MPG without really trying. That's mostly been country roads. So on a motorway, I'd expect that to go well over 50. That was too much of an excited voice for MPG chat, wasn't it? Sorry. Right, I'm in the PHEV version of the xCeed now, in a national speed limit, doing 60 miles an hour almost on the Queen's Highway. There you go, 60 miles an hour. So, PHEV, it's got a 1.6 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, a little electric motor for a total of 140 horsepower. So, a bit less horsepower than the petrol one I was driving earlier, but I can do 30 miles claimed on a full charge of this PHEV's battery. Actually, it's saying 27 miles, but well, that's 3 miles different. It's quite cold. I'll let it off. Otherwise, it feels similar. However, I've driven this hybrid before, and it's not, I don't know, it's not particularly scintillating to drive. I think personally, I would pick the turbocharged petrol one. Only comes with an automatic gearbox, so if you want an auto at the moment, you have to have a PHEV xCeed. But otherwise, it drives much the same, feels perhaps a little bit heavier over bumps, but it's still comfortable thanks to those hydraulic bump stops. It is more expensive though. This is £33,000. It's only available in one trim level, which is the 3 trim level, and it costs just under £33,000. There's a lot of threes in that sentence. I might have said the same thing 3 times. But yeah, it's okay. I would rather have the turbocharged fun of the manual one. Now, as with most other plug-in things in this world, from the Kia Niro to Prince William, you've got a load of driving modes, so you can force it to run in EV only mode, or there's a sport mode. So you see what the sport mode does, because don't come to this car expecting electrifying performance. I'm going to boot it from a 30 up to a 60, foot down, engine makes quite a din, and that's 60. It hasn't got that real exciting electric punch. There's a little bit of it, but it's mostly when you put your foot down, when you're already doing say 50 or 60 miles an hour, you get a little bit of a whoomph, and that's it. It's okay, performance is okay, but the engine quite noisy. Anyway, that's probably enough talk about how the Kia xCeed drives in manual and automatic, turbocharged and PHEV forms. I'm getting confused here. Let's go back to me for an outro so I can collect my thoughts. So have Kia's updates to the xCeed for 2022 and 2023 turned it into a fire-breathing hot rod? No. Have they turned it into a slightly tweaked, improved version of an already very good crossover hatchback thing? Yes. And would I be happy with one of these instead of a Volkswagen Golf? Double yes. It's a bit more comfortable. We've got more of a laid-back attitude to driving with that hydraulic bump-stoppy stuff on the suspension. It's just a very relaxed car. It's not a car that encourages you to go out and drive quickly. It's a well-considered family car with a decent sized boot that's bigger than most hatchbacks, and a decent pair of engines as well. I would pick the regular petrol one, but if you need a PHEV, go nuts and get the PHEV. I like that it comes in a bright green colour. I think it's got a little bit of, not attitude, it's got a bit of presence about it, especially in this top spec one. I'm quite glad that there's a new top spec version with some chrome bits. Just makes it look a bit less dull than it used to. So yeah, it is not an exciting car, but it is an extremely capable family car. Is that enough X's? I think it probably is. More than I've got anyway. I was a lonely child. Anyway, I hope that was useful, helpful. If you're in the market for one of these, let me know in the comments and I'll try and answer any questions you've got. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video. Go down to the comments and leave me the Korean word for honeycomb. And I will see you next time when I won't be in a beautiful, can't get my words out, lay-by that's next to a very busy aerodrome, a very busy road and loads of sheep noise. But whatever, it's a hard life. I've just got to live it.